Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Maddie. I post new Sims content every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And today we are doing this lovely apartment build. This is my first apartment I've ever built, so I kind of went balls to the wall crazy. So if it doesn't look quite as organized as one may hope an apartment complex would look, that is completely why. But anyways, we're about to jump right on into it. This is kind of a long video because I didn't have an idea as for what I was going to build when I got onto this lot, and it just turned into an apartment, and I just kind of went crazy with everything. So we're gonna dive in. My apologies if everything is kind of like all over the place, but I promise it makes sense in the end when we get to this final, masterpiece of an apartment building. But if you guys like more content like this, please leave me a like, please comment, and subscribe, as once again I do post 3 times a week. And so yeah, we are going to get into it. So obviously we're going to start with an empty lot, a bulldozed lot, and I wanted to have our apartment kind of a funky shape, so not just regularly, square or rectangle, So I did an octagonal platform, and so I just spread it out over the lot like it's as big as I wanted, the building to be. So yeah, I used the octagonal one, and then I'm going to use the octagonal room tool and basically just create a room on top of that platform. Now once we've done that, we're just going to copy that room and platform that we literally just put right here. We're going to copy it and paste it right next door. Simple as that. Now all I did was use a connecting square platform to connect the two because I'm going to make it into a walkway. So now we're left with 2 connecting buildings that kind of look like headphones for a Roblox character. And so now I'm just giving it a little bit of an outer shell. So I've changed the colors, or the material in which it's built out of, or whatever you want to call it. And then of course I put some doors on just to kind of give me like a frame, like a reference of how I want this to go essentially. So I'm putting windows around also, so that way it gets in some light so I can see what's happening on the inside, because obviously if not, it's just a black box and it's going to be really hard for you to place stuff in there. You could go ahead and set up light fixtures, but since I don't know where my rooms and how this is going to be constructed, to be honest, I'm just going to go ahead and stick with natural lighting so that we can see enough. And then I also went ahead and decided that this building on the left is going to be my main building with the apartments and everything, and the building on my right is going to be some sort of entertainment center. So I went ahead and put a second floor on top of the building on the left, obviously because we're going to need multiple different floors to house multiple different apartment units. So now I'm implementing the modes of transportation, i.e. stairs or elevator, and I was busy trying to figure out how to get this elevator to be functional. I'm still at a loss for how to make it functional in this apartment complex. So if y'all have any tips for me, leave them in the comments. Otherwise, it is just here for show, y'all. So it looks cute, and when I actually get to playing it as a rentable apartment, the Sims actually spawn from the elevator. I'm not sure how, not sure why, but that's where they spawn from. But they use the stairs when they want to get to a different floor, because once again, the elevator is just for looking at apparently. And I feel like all apartment complexes have some sort of room, like closed door room, in which stairs are in. So I really wanted to implement that and kind of make this apartment as realistic as possible, because while yes, you have your elevator option, you also do have your stairs that are needed, obviously, in case the elevators go out, in case of emergency, whatever the case may be. Yes, this is a game, but still want to implement that little tad bit of realism, so I'm just adding some stairs in a room. So now I'm trying to just envision the layout, how I want the lobby to look. So obviously I want to go ahead and have that front desk area, which is the lobby / leasing office. So I won't have to create like a whole separate room for the leasing office. The lobby can just be half and half, right? So just gonna go ahead and get a desk, and obviously a chair for the desk with a computer, so that we're able to check in and out our guests, as well as, secure new tenants and things of that nature. Also, it allows us to get paid, so we're gonna need that. And so I'm gonna need you guys to give me a little bit of grace here as we kind of model this apartment complex, because of the fact I didn't know exactly how I wanted this to look or how I wanted this to turn out. This started with a whole bunch of different mini undeveloped ideas, or many premature ideas, I should say, because lots of apartment lobbies have little mini sitting areas depending on what apartment you're in. There are like, you know, little game tables and, you know, little TV section, or maybe like a section to get coffee at or something like that, just depending on what kind of apartment complex you're going for, like more of that luxury high estate, or more of a kind of maybe low income, middle class, whatever you're kind of going for. I wanted to go for a really nice kind of luxury kind of feel, because I feel like The Sims, you know, we have that in everyday life. You know, The Sims is for something extravagant, I feel like, and of course we want to make it as realistic as possible, but also we still want to make it fun and creative. With that being said, a lot of this stuff is not going to be sitting there in like 10 minutes, so don't get used to how this looks right here, because obviously it kind of looks funny, you know, putting a little basically living room set right behind the front counter. So we're going to change that up, of course, but I'm getting my pieces of things, you know, because I'll still be using these things, they just won't be sitting in these exact places. But fact is, I wanted to have a little lounge area in the lobby because that's what I'm used to seeing in apartments. And I'd like to go ahead and put some indoor plants in as well, because I feel like there's a lot of potted plants in those bigger places like hotels and apartments and things of that nature. And you'll see here, there's always like a random like big potted plant sitting in the middle of the floor in a hotel or an apartment, I feel like. So I ended up putting one in because it just kind of made it feel more like real, made it feel like more, like I said, that doesn't stay there, so don't get used to it. But I'm just at this point pulling my pieces out to see where I'm going to go with this. And in fact, that is where that plant stays. So we're just going to continue on. So now is where I start to change stuff up after I put my little light fixtures in. I'm saying, okay, I don't really like how they look. So the perfect corner right there by the stairs, I went ahead and moved that little lounge set. So that is now looking a little bit more conformed and discreet. And of course a nice little chandelier to hang over it as well, just to give the ambiance of luxury. So while this looks okay, I really wanted to put in a divider between like that front desk area and then on back to where you'll start to reach the apartments, the lounge area, basically like your residential area, if that makes sense. So I am going ahead and turning on my move objects because I forgot to turn that on from the start anyways. So that way our pieces can kind of mesh together to create this kind of screen. So we're just kind of creating a divider between the front desk part and the kind of residential part, so that way it doesn't all kind of mesh into like one sort of layout. We still wanted to keep it a little abstract, and but we still wanted to keep it open. I didn't want to have like a room with a door and then leading on to the, like, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted it to be very transitional and smooth. And I also just had to be mindful of my color choice here, because as you can see I'm doing a black divider and I really did not want anything to darken up the lobby area. I really wanted it to be really bright, natural lighting, kind of like very inviting and welcoming. So the black very much took away from that. So I'm going to change up the color on it and, you know, make the divider look a little bit more seamless. And this is what we're working with once it's all said and done. So I think the gold lightens up the room a bit. And then I have the dividers kind of overlaying each other so you don't see like straight through it, of course. So it still gives, you know, kind of like that wall, kind of like a little see-through wall almost. And I'm not going to bore you guys with the installation of windows. I'm just picking out what windows I think, you know, looks best from the inside. So now I'm just putting some little sitting chairs over by one of the windows, just in case, you know, say if I have a new tenant coming to view one of the apartments and they're, you know, waiting on me, or, you know, and they're not necessarily wanting to go sit at the lounge or the bar that I later put in or anything like that. So just like waiting area seating rather than lounge seating. And a few minor changes here. I swapped the chandeliers from the front and the back, so I swapped their places because I felt like the spiral one really looks better in front of the front door. And then I'm adding a few homey touches like a rug under the front desk and by the two little sitting chairs as well. I also put a vending machine where the stairs are because I feel like anytime I see a vending machine, it's next to stairs. Like stairs are somewhere close by, unless you're like in a one-story building, of course. And so I put a little wall around the elevator because once again, I feel like elevators are kind of in a little corner or space or little room by themselves. Of course, you can make it a tighter fitting room, like where the room just literally fits around the elevator. I didn't do that here, but I do end up doing it later. But just showing you guys like the minor changes that I'm doing right now. And then I just put in more lighting because it was just a little dark in this lobby. So moving on to the top floor, or the second floor I should say, this is how I ended up creating my balcony as well. So essentially the second floor is longer than the first floor, and then what I do is I just go and put these columns underneath the second floor like it's holding it up, so it also gives it kind of like patio look as well. And now I'm going in creating another wall, basically separating what will be my balcony from the interior of the apartment complex. So once we get the right measurement for the balcony, then I can go with that outer wall and start breaking it down, or you can double click that outer wall and turn it into a fence. And once you turn it into a fence, it literally automatically kind of turns into that balcony. So as you can see, those two kind of angled in walls would still need to go into a fence as well. And so now we're creating our walkway. We're just going to use that square room tool and go from wall to wall. So we're going to slide over our windows if we need to, and then we're going to implement our doors so that way this walkway will be fully functional. And I didn't want the walkway to look like this just big tunnel leading from one building to the next. I really wanted it to be cute. So I went ahead and added 6 windows, 3 on each side, and I also went ahead and added some lights as well, so that way it's not dark. And just looking back at my lobby, I'm like, it's a little boring. Not a whole lot of excitement going on here. So I went ahead and added this really colorful rug under that lounge area, and I think that really pulled that part of the room together, to be honest. And of course, to add that extra level of realism, I am implementing some security cameras at all the entrances, and just want to let my tenants know that you will be safe here. Okay, we see any criminal activity, we are calling the police. Back to our walkway once again. I didn't want it to be boring, so I did want it to have a few pieces of art along the walls. So I just added these long pieces of art towards the entryways of it, because obviously the windows are quite enough as you're walking through. And bouncing back to our lobby / front desk area, I was kind of contemplating putting some big art to separate the front area from the lounge area, but then I was just like, no, we can just add a little bit of art behind the desk and it'll still look nice. So that's what I ended up coming up with, and I think it gives the front desk area a lot more character. And now moving on to that second building, I decided I just wanted to make it a gym, just a big community gym. So I noticed in a lot of gyms the floor is black or gray with that kind of like rubbery stuff, I don't know, but in essence wanted to make this realistic, so I made the floor in the gym black, and then I'm just going in with some plain color for the walls. So this is where we kind of are with the gym. It's coming together. I did go ahead and place a back door towards that back left panel because I am going to put in a pool and an outside area. However, I didn't want it to be accessible from other parts of the lot, if that makes sense. I just wanted it to be accessible to the residents and their friends or family, whoever they want to bring. So I specifically only put the door to the back yard in the gym, so that way they would have to literally come over to the gym and walk around, similar to how you would have to do in a regular apartment complex. But now I'm putting in a bathroom because all good gyms have a bathroom. And I know this might be a bit controversial, but it's in The Sims and it's not real life, but this is a unisex bathroom, and I went ahead and went with stalls, seeing as it is going to be a public restroom for use, for my residential public. So this is pretty much our finished gym bathroom. I wanted to put a shower in there because I feel like all gyms have a shower, in case you don't want to go back up to your apartment and you just want to head out from the gym. You can shower at the gym and go on about your business. I'm just putting down some yoga mats now. This format is going to change around a little bit because I just noticed I'm not going to be able to put the things where I wanted to put them. As you can see, there is a front door on the gym right now, but I end up taking that away because like I said, I wanted it only to be accessible for my tenants, for my residents. And yeah, I don't need any outsiders, you know, trying to come and use the gym, try and come use the pool. You know, we don't need all of that because my tenants are going to be feeling overwhelmed, like they can't use their own amenities. But I end up creating a nice little yogi wall with some windows. My only problem with putting the yoga mats on the other wall is because, like, if I was to put windows in, then you'd just be looking at people swimming in the pool and people in the backyard, and I just think that's weird. You know, when you're working out, you don't really want to make eye contact with somebody that's literally in a different room or like a different section of the place from you, you know? I just felt like that was quite odd. Now, I did start doing the roof, okay? This roof did not stay, so I'm not even going to show you guys how I did this roof because I ended up going with a more modern roof. And yeah, I feel like putting this kind of like household roof on it makes it look more like a house rather than an apartment complex. So, you know, I just didn't like that, so I'm not even gonna worry about it. Now back in the gym, I am just adding, again, homey touches. Some rugs under the machines, kind of make it separate like the sections, if you will. So now we're gonna head on over to the backyard. I went ahead and swapped out the doors because I felt like this door was a little bit more modern than the other one. And I don't know, it just looked better to me. But anyway, we are going to go ahead, obviously create some stairs leading to the door because our platform is a little raised. And then we are going to create our pool. So we're going to get our pool trim. If you wanted to, you can create, you know, a really funky shaped pool. Obviously I'm working with a rectangular space, so I just went ahead and went with a basic rectangular pool. And obviously safety comes first, so we want to implement some pool ladders because of course we don't want to have to drown anybody. And then after that, I just go ahead and I did put this light bar in prior to me putting these ladders into the pool in. I really wasn't sure what I was going to do with the light bar, but then I ended up just making a wall of lights just to kind of make it cool looking. And of course I added some floaties for decoration and usage, of course. So to complete our pool, obviously we're going to need some pool chairs or lounge chairs, whatever you want to call them. So I just kind of staggered them along the side of the pool, but about 4 of these little lawn chairs, and then I put them with their matching umbrellas. Well, I say matching, but they're all white, so they can match any umbrella, to be honest. And of course, nothing completes a backyard much like a grill. A grill, a picnic table, and a pool. Sounds like a great time, to be honest. So now I'm just going around putting some street lights in because obviously we still want to have some light at night. Who knows, we could want, you know, a little late night pool party. You never know. And now circling back around to this balcony, I'm going to, of course, add a door so that my tenants can access said balcony. And then I'm just going to add a few little chairs, painting easel. But before I got there, I had the amazing idea to basically add a little walkway on top of the walkway. Originally it was going to be functional. I added one door so you could just kind of walk on top and walk back if you wanted to, if you just kind of wanted to get a view over the place, things of that nature. But then it just kind of turned out to be more of an aesthetic, so I took the door away and all of that, but I left the railing, and of course I took the roof off because it's not a room. But I left the railing because I felt like it gave it kind of character, and yeah, it just kind of gave it that nice little aesthetic in the front. So now we're here to the good stuff, making the actual apartments themselves. So this first floor is only going to have one apartment on it because before I realized the elevator was not functional, I didn't want to put a room over where the elevator would come up and obviously let people in and out of. So I didn't want people walking in and out of people's apartments to get to the elevator. So I figured not to put a room over where the elevator would initially come up at, but it's not functional, so it didn't matter. But anyway, I didn't know that here, so just giving y'all a little disclaimer. And with that being said, that immediately prompted me to create a 3rd and 4th floor, obviously. With the 2nd floor only having one room, obviously this can't be a 1-room apartment, otherwise that's just a house with a fat ass gym and a lobby. And here I am marking off the rooms for the 3rd floor, which will house 2 apartments. And if you have a brain that kind of functions similar to mine and it just kind of jumps around everywhere and you kind of get lost sometimes in your own creations, it's always best, like when you start sectioning stuff out, to go ahead and place like a front door so you know like where your idea was heading with this. So like I know I want one apartment across the hall, the other across the hall, you know, I want them, you know, facing each other essentially. So I went ahead, put in the front door so I know where I am going with this. So after I kind of map where the front door is going to be, I then map out where I'm going to put certain sections of the home or of the apartment. So like bathroom, kitchen, living room, bedroom. So then I just started creating like the skeletons of those rooms, or you know, the outlines or the walls of those rooms, so I know exactly where everything's gonna go when I start putting in furniture, fixtures, and things of that nature. So I really wanted to make like a single living apartment, if that makes sense. So all of these apartments are going to be 1 bedroom, 1 bath, with the inclusion of 1 studio apartment. So I really wanted it, I didn't want it to be like a whole like family thing, to be honest, because I wasn't mapping the apartment out for all of that. I just really had envisioned 1 to 2 people per unit, so a couple or a single sim. And so I'm gonna show you guys a little lazy trick of mine I like to do. It's not really a trick, it's not even, you know, what do they call it? A hack. It's not even a hack. But basically, I will buy a room, or, you know, like a kitchen, a living room. I'll buy a whole room and I'll put it in, and then I'll rearrange it to how I'd like or whatnot. So I don't, sometimes I'll keep all the furniture pieces, other times I don't. Like this kitchen right here, it didn't look so dingy in like the little preview, but when I bought it, all the appliances and the counters, they looked really dingy and I didn't like it. So I, of course, went in and traded out some of the appliance, things of that nature. So I'll basically use a pre-created room already and just kind of make it my own after that. So like if you look at this, it's not cute. It doesn't give luxury. And the way I wanted my apartment, like look at the back of the appliances, just dirty, like they've been installed for 10 years, even though this is a new build. But I went ahead, changed out the appliances and everything, but the room is basically what I'm taking from it. So I do that when I'm lazy, and I don't want to create like a full room from scratch, which in this case would be apartments from scratch. After I just created this whole building from scratch, it just seemed like a lot. So I am basically putting rooms together, and I will shift them around and kind of make them my own little customizations as I go. As you can see, I'm completely replacing like all of the stuff in here except for like the island and the stools. But of course, light fixtures and everything, like everything just looked really old, and we don't want that. We don't like that. And so now I am sectioning off a bedroom. But the way I wanted this apartment complex to kind of work, I wanted the apartments on the lower floor, so floor 2 and 3, I wanted them to be kind of more mid-class apartments, if that makes sense. And then of course that 4th floor, I was going to make it into 2 separate apartments, but then I just started making it into one just big penthouse. And so that's what I really put my time and efforts into. I put my time and efforts into all of them, to be honest. Like even with implementing already structured rooms, it is still a lot to kind of finagle with and, you know, get it looking how you want it to look. But this is like the easiest way to do it, in my opinion, and still having like your creative customizations in there as well. So once again, we're back looking at pre-made rooms. This one is a bedroom, of course, and I'm just going to fit it in right into that slot. Even though our bedroom is longer, that's fine. We can get rid of one of the walls, expand the room out, and, you know, keep some of the furniture if we want to, or mix it with some other furniture that we might think would look better in this bedroom. And I didn't end up liking that bedroom so much for that room, so I went ahead and kind of downsized it a little bit, got a little smaller of a room, and, you know, a little bit more compact of a room because it's not such a big apartment space. Like I said before, we're just going to expand it out to fit the space that we actually have set for the bedroom, so it doesn't look all compact like if you were to just buy it, you know. But I kept all of the original pieces. I just kind of moved it around to fit the space that I had for it. And so here I ended up making the apartment a little smaller. I moved the kitchen in some, so I actually kept the compactness of the room. So nearing the end of the completion of this apartment, I'm just going to show you guys how basically I would expand this living room up. So I just take that wall away so there's no wall, you know, separating that room from our room. And then of course we're gonna take away that front door because that's got no business being there. And we're gonna take away that other wall as well, and we're going to space out the furniture in a way that obviously you're going to be able to access the bedroom and your kitchen and everything else. And so by the end of it, this apartment is getting a wee bit smaller, and we are getting rid of that other wall that separates our front door from the living room, and that is going to be our full living room area. So we basically completed this whole apartment, and it's compact, yes, but it's not doing too much. It's not too cluttered. You know, everything has a, you know, rightful place, and everything just looks organized in here. So that is the goal. And of course, obviously the final finishing touches would include that paint and or wallpaper you're putting on the inside of each room. So moving back outside, I am creating that little cobble walk path or walkway up from the sidewalk to the apartment building. Nothing special there. We're just doing a little outside effects. And as I said before, in our gym, that front door was going to leave us. So I'm now putting that rock climbing wall over where the door used to be. And I am scooching over that yoga spot or whatnot in those windows as well. Like I said, this is why I did not, you know, get into detail about this roof I put on, because I didn't like it. It's gotta go. So I ended up changing it out for more of a modern look. And we are going to use our foundations in order to give us that like modern looking roof. And I'll show you guys what I mean in just a second. So that same platform we used in order to make the base of this apartment is the same one we're going to use to put on top of this roof, obviously, because that's what's going to fit. And so we're just going to basically scale it out to the same size, basically. And I want to show you guys my kind of mess ups just so you guys know and are aware of it. So the reason I couldn't stack them right on top of each other was because I had initially put that room so that we can put those little railings to kind of make it look, you know, architectural and cool or whatnot. So it wasn't letting me put it there because it was still acting like it was an active room there, even though I took away like all of the walls and stuff. So I ended up having to go in, take out basically the room, quote unquote, take out the fence and whatnot, and then put that platform on. And so once I put the platform on, I then put these pillars underneath the platform and the roof, and to kind of give this cool like architectural look, like a floating kind of roof almost. So initially I started with four pillars on each side, so 2 on each of like the corners, if you will. But then I was like, honestly, that doesn't look bad. I probably should have kept it that way, but I didn't. I ended up putting the pillars all the way around and just making it look more enclosed rather than like it's just standing on 4 pieces of wood. But it does look good that way. I probably should have kept it that way, but I just didn't. And then part of me was like, a statue on top or in between the platforms would be so cool. Like it would just bring the whole exterior together. So I thought that's kind of what I was leaning towards when I was getting this dog, but this dog had many different places and ultimately did not end up on the apartment. And so now doing the same thing with our main building, we're going to use our platform or whatever to create our roof. However, it's not going to be a floating platform like our smaller building, because we can only go up 4 floors. Obviously we can't have a floating roof or a floating platform on top of the 4th floor. So we are going to make something a little intricate with this platform. So as it looks now, like it's just this thick concrete slab on top of our building, which essentially it is, but we're going to kind of give like 2 different layers to it and create a flat roof similar to how we're seeing on that smaller building. I was thinking maybe just like the slab kind of coming a little bit over. I don't know, it just kind of looks a little bit misplaced. It doesn't look bad, but it's just not giving what I thought it was going to give in this moment. So I reevaluated and did something a little different. So I'm having the slab kind of hang over on one side of the roof rather than the whole thing, because it kind of looked a little funny to me. And then I'm going to double up the platforms. So I'm going to have essentially one on top of the other. And so when you put them together like that and they're on the fourth floor, they'll kind of mesh together rather than like sit them on top of each other. But that's kind of what we want it to do, because we want it to be like kind of separate pieces that can function at different heights. So now I'm just creating that, or I'm just moving it over, which you'll see it'll, yeah, cut off the other platform we just had, which kind of gives it this cool little hangover. And then if you get to fiddling around with stuff and, you know, breaking stuff up, it gets great. And so all I did was expand that smaller slab outwards, so now we've got this two-leveled roof. And so that piece that I brought forward has this kind of curve to it that gives it this nice like roof feel. And I definitely ended up moving that dog over, giving it a mate, but then it kind of gave like dog hospital or dog hotel, and I was like, yeah, I'm not really sure if that's the vibe I'm going for here. So I ended up picking up this peacock, and I was like, yeah, we can make something shake with that. That's nice. And I was not giving up on my idea of having that fencing on that upper part of the walkway, so I went ahead, put some fence in. I didn't go all the way to the gym, which was fine because I ended up using the peacock to kind of cover that little hole it had. And of course, to take it a little further, I did want like an apartment sign. I thought that would have been nice, but I didn't want it to go in front of the fountain, so I ended up swapping the place in which the sign and the fountains are currently and just moved them over. So I had the sign kind of in front of that walkway, so you know, you kind of have a little privacy when you're in the walkway. You're not feeling like somebody's staring at you from outside because you're technically kind of hidden behind a sign. So that's cool. Had the idea of putting it up on the roof, and I was like, yep, that's just stupid. So yeah, this is what came out of that, and I think it looks pretty good. I like that the trees match the peacock and everything just looks kind of cohesive. And I did want to add more contrast to my building. I felt like everything looked so light. And I did go back in to add more pillars to kind of like encase the peacock, almost like it's kind of caged a little bit. But I did go ahead and finish up putting those pillars around and putting them equally around because I struggled with spacing on this for whatever reason. And so this is how it looks all the way around. I think it kind of fits a little bit more than having those 4 pillars. While I could have just left, you know, the 4 in the front, the 4 in the back, I do think this kind of just gives it a better overall look, in my opinion. Now obviously we want to change the color of our roof, which the way to do that is just putting like a floor pattern on it, because obviously this is like a floor to a room essentially. So that's how you're going to color it. I went through a couple of different options before I actually stuck to one, as I'm sure many of us do. And obviously with the changes of exterior, that means these white windows, and yeah, the whole front just didn't look right. So what I ended up doing this time was I put a platform outside the door, and then I put some stairs leading up to the platform to then go inside instead of the stairs going straight into the front door. And so this is our final product. The exterior wise, I will give you guys a tour on the inside in just a moment, but I am so proud of this. Like, this is my first time building an apartment, and the one thing I will say about building in The Sims, anything is literally possible. You just have to figure out how to do it. So don't get discouraged if you can't really figure out how to do certain things in the first time you're trying to build something, because this literally took me hours. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it took me about 3 days to actually finish. So don't get discouraged. Just continue trying, continue being creative, and everything will work out. And use all your fellow tools here at YouTube, i.e. me and the other simmers that are on here creating content for you guys to show you how to make these realistic and nice things that, you know, obviously don't come in the base game. So just stay encouraged, and we're about to get into this walkthrough. I'm so excited to show you guys the interior fully done.
Monzo.
And I can't lie, it's got to be very awkward to have your landlord walk in on you while you're sleeping in bed, but I had to get this walkthrough for you guys. And I'm busy trying to figure out why Shorty is standing at the top of the stairs playing a violin. Like, okay, girl. Hope you enjoy. And this is the studio apartment I created, and honestly this is my favorite apartment in the apartment building. Not because obviously you would think the penthouse is probably your favorite, but this is literally my favorite because it is so colorful, it is so inviting, and this is literally a studio apartment I would live in. Like, honestly, it's banging. And of course, me walking in on my tenant while she's sleeping, but this is my second favorite apartment that I built in this building. And of course, with being in people's apartments, you might see something you ain't want to see, so let me just go ahead and get out of here before she tries to get in the bathtub.
Huh. Froom. Huh.
So we are now nearing the end of our tour here. So this is the penthouse suite, my third favorite apartment out of the whole building, and then the other two can fight for the bottom slot. But honestly, I'm so super proud of myself right now. Like, I keep rewatching this over and over again because I cannot believe I made something like this. So always have hope, kids. Always dream big and you can accomplish big things. But we're just going to take another little kind of roundabout recap through the apartment complex. We're just going to go down the stairs, through the gym, and we are going to go out to the pool and lay poolside and have a nice little cool off from our virtual showing. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I really hope you guys liked this build that I made. It took me so long to do it. It took me so long. Like, this apartment has been in phases, so this is literally the final phase, and I am just so proud of it. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns for me, please leave it down in the comment section below. Please leave me a like, subscribe, as I do post videos 3 times a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in another video. Let me know maybe what you would like to see next, and have a great evening, you guys.